Welcome, everyone. We are going to go ahead and get started. A couple of things I just wanted to mention. The schedule for the rest of the event will be located out on the registration tables when you go out of here for a break. We are going to be streaming starting this afternoon on our YouTube channel, on Alagille Syndrome Alliance YouTube channel. So feel free to log in there and take a look and spread the word. If you post any pictures or mention us on Facebook, please make sure you tag us, and let's try to get the word out about Alagille syndrome and this event. So thank you all so much for being here. I just wanted to welcome you and introduce a couple of people. I am Cher Bork, and I'm the Executive Director of the Alagille Syndrome Alliance. I've been here for not quite 2 years, so I'm the newbie, but I am really proud to be representing both the community and our organization. I also wanted to introduce, I don't see her in here, Roberta Smith, our president. She may be out in the hall right now. We have a couple of other board members. Shami traveled all the way from India. She's one of our board members. Tara, who I think is, oh, there's Roberta. Roberta, wave. Roberta, our president. I think most everyone in this room knows Roberta. Tara also is running around here. She is on our board, Tara Jacques. And we have Marcus. I don't see Marcus. He's on our board. He is here. And then we are missing a couple of other board members who couldn't be here today. I don't think I'm missing anyone else. Want to thank PCORI, Patient-Centered Outcomes Research Institute, for giving us the Alliance and this meeting the Eugene Washington Engagement Award this year. It's something that we are really proud of, and just want to thank PCORI for making this meeting possible, and that award also helped a lot of our families to travel here. We have families here from so many countries. Brazil and the Netherlands and South Africa. So many countries are represented here, which is just amazing. So thank you. We're going to hear from Nora in just a minute, Dr. McGee from PCORI. And I just want to mention, in our room today, we have investigators and scientists, we have clinicians, we have other industry professionals, and then, of course, we have families. Each and every one of you in this room is a part of this puzzle that we're trying to piece together. So as you all have your name tags on, when you get up for break and move around, start introducing yourself to each other. When we break into our working groups this afternoon, each table will have a good mix of people. But in the meantime, if you see someone, introduce yourself, and let's start getting the dialogue going, between us all. Our goals. So our goals for this meeting, hopefully you all had a chance to view the webinar that we sent out about this meeting. Dr. McGee is going to tell us a little bit more about that, but I just wanted to tell you about our goals for today. Everything about today is the patient voice. So we know how important the patient voice is in the work that you all do. So today we are trying to hear directly from our families so that information can impact what work you're doing right now and then any future work. Anyone else who's not a family, there was a 3-question survey just to kind of help build the content for today. And that was really great because we heard from scientists and investigators wanting to know information from our families. So we think this is going to be a really dynamic day, and we're going to walk away with a really good roadmap to what the future is going to look like with Alagille syndrome research and care. All right, I do want to quickly go through how the day is going to work, because it's a little bit different than most conferences. We are going to hear from Dr. McGee with PCORI, then we'll hear also from Dr. Stacy Huppert, who had the scientific meeting yesterday, which was an amazing thing. Stacy, Dr. Huppert, thank you so much. I have heard nothing but just great things about it. I got to be there for the first half, and it was amazing just to sit in that room and watch that interaction, and for me especially, watching all those pieces start come together. It was an amazing day. Thank you so much for doing that. It was wonderful. So after we hear from those folks, I'm going to go through the family survey. It was about 58 questions. Thank you to our families for taking the time to go through that, because that really helped build what this meeting is all about. And I'm going to go through the majority of that quickly, I hope. Roberta's going to keep me on schedule because we're going to start symposium at 4, whether we are out of here or not. So I'm going to try to stay on schedule. After that, we're going to have a pass the mic session where investigators, clinicians, and any industry professionals who are here can tell us what they want us to know, where they think there maybe are gaps in the research knowledge, and what they need to know from us as patients and families. And then we'll break off into our working groups. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that when we get to it. It's going to be a little bit like musical chairs, but each of our 8 working groups will have a question that came directly from the survey, and it'll be a mix at each table. You'll talk for about an hour, kind of come up with some potential solutions, and then at the very end of the day, the moderators from each table will present to the group the findings. So it's going to be a really packed day, and I hope that you all are able to stay for all of it. I'm going to go ahead and introduce, again, Dr. McGee from PCORI. This is Nora McGee. She is our representative that's here today, and she's going to tell us a little bit about PCORI, PCOR, and kind of what this meeting is all about. So thank you so much, and thank you all.
Good morning, everyone. And welcome. I want to echo what Cher said and welcome you all to the Research Roundtable today. I was able to listen to about the second half of the talks yesterday, and I also thought they were extremely exciting. And I'm also excited about what we're going to do together here today. Thanks to Cher for the invitation to come speak today. And I'm looking forward to our discussions later and listening to what everybody has to say and everybody's concerns and ideas. So I'm going to spend a few minutes this morning talking about patient-centered CER and telling you what we mean when we say CER and what we mean by stakeholder engagement. And this is all to help get everyone ready for the roundtable activities that we're going to be working on later. Let's see if this works. Okay. So I'm going to talk today about what PCORI stands for, explain what we mean by CER, and I hope to convince you just how important it is to partner with stakeholders to carry out clinical research, especially listening to the voices of patients and of parents. Sorry. Okay. So PCORI is an independent research institute. We were authorized by Congress pretty recently in 2010. And we are governed by a board representing the entire healthcare community. We fund comparative clinical effectiveness research, which you think would be called CCER, but is actually just called CER. I guess people just thought it was too long, they shortened it. So specifically, we fund research that engages patients and all other healthcare stakeholders throughout the research process, and I'm going to tell you more about what this means, what this entails in a few moments. We fund research to answer real-world questions about what works best for patients based on their circumstances and concerns. PCORI's mandate is to assist patients, clinicians, purchasers, and policymakers to make informed healthcare decisions. Our research agenda reflects stakeholder needs, helps answer patient questions such as which preventive, diagnostic, or treatment option is best for them. It emphasizes patient-centered outcomes, including balancing benefits and harms. And we work to put research findings in a format that patients and their care providers can readily understand and use. We fund research on which care options work, for whom, and under which circumstances. We focus on answering questions most important to patients and to those who care for them. And we aim to generate more useful and usable evidence. We engage patients, caregivers, clinicians, insurers, employers, and other healthcare stakeholders throughout the research process. Who are our stakeholders? They are across the spectrum of all those involved in receiving care, patients and their caregivers, and delivering care, clinicians, hospitals, and health systems, as well as all the other players across the healthcare landscape. I told you earlier that we focus on CER, Comparative Clinical Effectiveness Research. But I want to step back for a moment and make sure we're all on the same page when we say effectiveness. There is a difference between efficacy and effectiveness. Efficacy means a treatment works. It works in ideal controlled conditions, such as in a traditional randomized controlled trial that may be to test whether a drug works compared to placebo. Efficacy trials typically have strict inclusion and exclusion criteria. In contrast, effectiveness means the treatment or intervention works in a real-world setting, and research on this is typically done when a treatment is already proven or accepted to be efficacious. So what do we mean when we say we fund comparative clinical effectiveness research, or CER? This type of research generates and synthesizes evidence comparing the benefits and harms of at least two different methods to prevent, diagnose, treat, and/or monitor a clinical condition or to improve care delivery. It measures the benefits in real-world populations. It describes the results in subgroups of people, and it can help consumers, clinicians, purchasers, and policymakers make informed decisions that will improve care for individuals and populations. It can also inform specific clinical or policy decisions. CER is one piece of the healthcare research process, which also includes discovery research, regulation and approval, and eventually dissemination, implementation, and policy creation. When we speak about patient-centered CER, or patient-centered healthcare research in general, we mean research that considers patients' needs and preferences, investigates what works for whom, and helps patients and other stakeholders make better informed decisions. Patients should play a key role in determining the outcomes that are important to them that should be included in a study. Sometimes these will be clinical outcomes, such as laboratory results. Often, they will also include patient-reported outcomes, such as patients' self-report of symptom severity, or quality of life, or ability to function well in school. At PCORI, we feel involving patients, caregivers, and other stakeholders is important in all types of clinical studies, not just in CER. I'm going to give you a sense now of why engaging is so important, no matter the type of research being conducted. So I just told you a little bit about what makes research patient-centered. Patient-centeredness is distinct from patient and stakeholder engagement. When we say engagement, we mean involving patients as partners in the research, rather than as participants or research subjects. Authentic engagement requires exchange of ideas between scientists, patients, and other stakeholders. True engagement will lead to patient-centered research, and ultimately, findings that are the most use to patients. Patients, parents, and other stakeholders can and should be involved throughout the research process, from study inception to dissemination of findings. Good, this should work. Okay, now to those who are new to engagement, particularly researchers, how to involve patients at every stage of the research and the benefits it can bring may be rather abstract. That's why I'm going to walk you through some examples from our engagement rubric of ways patients can be involved in the planning and conduct of a study, as well as dissemination of findings. Patients can be involved, for instance, in developing the research question and relevant outcomes to be studied. This will ensure that the project and its results will be useful and important to patient and stakeholder communities. Patients can be involved in defining the characteristics of study participants to be included in a study, which can minimize the risk that certain patients will be included or excluded due to criteria that are not relevant. Patients can also help design the study to minimize disruption to patient and stakeholder study participants, which can promote retention of study participants in the study. Here are some ideas for how patients can be involved in conducting the study. And I want to note that our engagement rubric in general is just supposed to give everyone ideas for how patients and other stakeholders can be involved in research. It's not supposed to be prescriptive. It's just supposed to be a starting point of ideas of how everyone can be involved. Patients can be involved in drafting or revising study materials or protocols in partnership with investigators. This can ensure the feasibility for clinicians and for patient participants. They can be directly involved in devising strategies for recruitment or actually involved in recruitment themselves of study participants, which can increase and sustain recruitment. They can even assist in data collection and analysis, bringing unique and varied perspectives on interpretation of the data. And of course, they can be involved in participating in evaluation of the patient and stakeholder engagement itself to help ensure the authenticity and value of the engagement. Patients can also serve on data safety monitoring boards, making them more robust and patient-centered. Patients can also have important roles in shaping plans for dissemination of study findings and directly participating in the dissemination itself. They can identify partner organizations for dissemination to ensure meaningful and direct connections with end users of study findings. They can be involved in planning dissemination efforts, and this is often most effective if it's begun when the study itself is being planned. This can help shape the study design and protocol from the very beginning to be focused on the final product. Patients can participate in dissemination efforts, such as co-authoring manuscripts and helping to present findings. This will allow them to offer the patient and stakeholder perspective and their views on how to reach new and different audiences. Patients can also help identify opportunities to present or share information about the study, even while it is in progress. This can help everyone move away from traditional models of dissemination, such as solely relying upon publishing in peer-reviewed journals and presenting at academic conferences, and think more creatively about how to get information into the hands of those who really need it. So engaging with patients leads to more relevant, useful study findings. It makes patients more likely to trust the study findings and eventually makes patients more likely to use the study results in their healthcare decision-making. At PCORI, we have funded a broad range of CER studies on a large number of health conditions and diseases. Part of our mandate from Congress is to fund studies on rare diseases as well, and we do this most commonly as part of our standing broad funding announcements. As of April 2019, we have funded 30 studies on rare diseases. All have patients involved in setting the research questions and partnering throughout each study's progress to ensure the findings will be meaningful and useful to them at the end. I'm going to end by telling you a bit about a rare disease study. It's not supposed to, but tell you a bit about a rare disease study that was recently awarded in May of last year. Whoa, oops. No, it's only partially loading, so you'll have to listen to me tell you about it. This study, which is comparing treatments for a rare disease called MAC, actually started with ideas generated at a conference meeting like we are having here today. Patients who had experienced this disease met with researchers and discussed what the challenges were for them with the current drug therapies. They described their difficulties completing the full course of treatment with the gold standard 3-drug regimen due to severe side effects like nausea and fatigue that caused them to barely function. Patients expressed interest in having better information to guide them in deciding with their doctors whether the 2-drug treatment, which was already in use, might work just as well for them as the 3-drug version with fewer side effects. Researchers worked in partnership with patients and other stakeholders like physicians who treat them to create a research application and they were able to secure funding for this project, this project has recently begun recruiting patients into the study. And the study is comparing the 2 and 3 drug regimens to treat MAC disease. Now, I don't guarantee that our brainstorming or prioritizing today will lead to a funded PCORI study, or even that we will generate questions that are ready for CER. But there are clearly many areas of clinical research that should be and that are on the horizon for ALGS. As we think about future directions, let's all remember that the patient voice needs to be heard and listened to during every stage of the process. I'm really looking forward to our sessions later today, where you'll all get a chance to get involved in shaping the research agenda. I just want to spend another moment to tell you of ways that all of you can learn more about what we're doing at PCORI and how you can help us shape the patient-centered research agenda. First, I encourage you to subscribe to our email alerts, which you can find on our website, pcori.org, pcori.org. We invite professional and lay audiences to be reviewers of research applications submitted in response to our funding announcements. Our ambassador program aims to help patients, organizations, and other stakeholders share our vision and mission with their communities, participate as full partners in research, and help ensure the sharing and use of information generated from PCORI-funded projects. Our multi-stakeholder advisory panels, including our rare disease panel, include representatives from across the healthcare community, including patients and caregivers, to help advance our science and engagement work. The last round of applications to serve on our advisory panels for this year just closed at the end of March, but if you sign up for our email alerts, you will receive notice when the next round opens. And I encourage you to find more information on our website. You can find information, we have information on there about each of our funded projects, and you can search for them, both the ongoing ones and the completed ones. And we have them all translated to be understandable to lay audiences. We encourage everyone to read and learn more about what we're doing. In research and in the engagement area, we have many resources for engagement to continue beyond today. So please check out our website, pcori.org. So I will be available for advice or questions during our working sessions later today. And I also have a few handouts about rare disease and engagement at PCORI, if anyone would like one. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. McGee. Before we go through the survey results, we're going to hear from 2 of our families. The first family that